The year was 2157. Humanity had spread across the solar system, building cities on Mars and mining outposts circling Jupiter. Earth remained the heart of human civilization, but people now lived and worked throughout the planets that orbited the sun. Commander Han Jiwu stood on the bridge of the UES Pathfinder, watching the stars through the main view screen. She was 42 years old, with short black hair streaked with silver and eyes that missed nothing. 20 years in Earth's unified Space Force had earned her a reputation for calm decision-making and diplomatic skill. "Commander, we're approaching the coordinates of the signal," said Lieutenant Kim Do-yun. His fingers moved quickly over the glowing control panel. Though only 28, Do-yun was the best sensor officer in the fleet. Jiwu nodded. "Maintain course. All departments on alert status." The Pathfinder had been sent to investigate a strange signal detected 3 weeks ago. It didn't match any known pattern and came from beyond Neptune, in the cold outer reaches where few human ships ventured. Science Officer Park Minji looked up from her station. Her dark eyes reflected the blue glow of her screens. "Signal is getting stronger. Definitely artificial, Commander." "Any response to our hails?" Jiwu asked. Communications Officer Ba Sunho shook his head. "Nothing, Commander." Jiwu tapped her fingers on the armrest of her command chair. This mission had been classified as routine exploration, but her instincts told her otherwise. Nothing about the signal was routine. "Contact in visual range," Do-hyun suddenly announced, his voice tight with excitement. The main screen changed to show something that made everyone on the bridge fall silent. Against the blackness of space drifted a massive vessel. It was unlike anything humans had built. Its shape was strange, with curves and angles that seemed to follow rules of design that weren't human. Parts of its metallic skin glowed with a soft blue light, but other sections were dark. Most alarming were the large, jagged holes torn in its hull. "Magnify," ordered Jiwu, leaning forward. The image zoomed in, showing clear evidence of weapons fire. Whatever had attacked this ship had used technology far beyond Earth's capabilities. "Life signs?" Jiwu asked. Minji worked her controls quickly. "Confirmed. Multiple life forms aboard, Commander, but readings suggest they're in critical condition. Life support systems appear to be failing." Jiwu stood up, her decision already made. "Yellow alert. Prepare medical teams and security. We're mounting a rescue operation." Her second-in-command, Officer Yang Juno, stepped closer to her. "Commander, protocols state we should maintain distance from unknown vessels until—" "I know the protocols, Juno," Jiwu interrupted quietly. "But there are lives at stake. We can't sit here and watch them die." Shunho nodded, knowing better than to argue further. Jiwu's humanitarian reputation was well earned. Within 30 minutes, the Pathfinder had maneuvered alongside the alien vessel. Airlocks were connected, and rescue teams in protective suits entered the damaged ship. Jiwu led the main team herself. The interior of the alien craft was filled with smoke and flashing lights. Emergency systems blared in an unknown language. The artificial gravity fluctuated, making walking difficult. "Life signs strongest this way," said Minji, who had insisted on joining the rescue mission. Her handheld scanner pointed down a curved corridor. They found the survivors in what appeared to be the ship's command center. 5 different alien species, all injured to varying degrees. Their appearances ranged from nearly human to utterly foreign. One looked like a tall insect with 4 arms. Another resembled a blue-skinned humanoid with gill-like structures on its neck. "Medical team, priority 1. Jiwu called into her communicator. "We have multiple injured. The most severely wounded was a being with gray skin and large, dark eyes. It was slumped over what seemed to be the ship's main control panel. As the medical team rushed in and began treatment, one of the aliens, a tall, slender being with golden skin that seemed to shimmer, approached Jiwu. It wore a device around its neck that glowed when it spoke. "You? Help us." The translation was rough but understandable. "Yes," Jiwu replied simply. We detected your distress signal. The alien's eyes widened. No signal sent. Communication systems damaged in attack. Zhu frowned. Then what did we detect? Quantum beacon, the alien explained. Emergency system, not meant for humans to find. Within hours, the survivors had been transferred to the Pathfinder's medical bay. Dr. Li Jiawan worked tirelessly with his team to treat injuries they had never seen before, on physiologies they barely understood. The golden-skinned alien, who called itself Silo, recovered enough to speak with Zhu in the ship's conference room. The translation device worked better now that the Pathfinder's computers had time to analyze its language. "We are grateful for your assistance," Silo said, inclining its head in what Zhu took to be a gesture of respect. Few species would aid strangers without knowing who or what they were. "It's what we do," Zhu replied simply. "Who attacked your ship?" Xilo's expression changed in a way Zhu couldn't interpret. "They are called the Vorax, a predatory species that consumes everything in their path. Resources, technology, knowledge, even other species." Zhu listened carefully as Silo explained about the Galactic Concord, a coalition of over 300 spacefaring civilizations that maintained peace across much of the galaxy. The Concord had been fighting the Vorax for decades, trying to contain their expansion. "Our ship was on a diplomatic mission when we were ambushed," Silo said. "We did not expect Vorax this far from the conflict zone." Then Silo revealed something that stunned Zhu. "Your world, Earth, has been known to the Concord for centuries," the alien said, "but contact was forbidden." "Forbidden? Why?" Zhu asked, trying to hide her shock. "Because the Concord fears what humanity might become," Silo answered. "Your species evolves and adapts faster than any we have encountered. Your technological development in the past century alone has been concerning." Zhu tried to process this information. Aliens had been watching Earth for centuries, deliberately keeping humans isolated from the wider galactic community. Before she could ask more questions, Dr. Li rushed into the conference room. "Commander, the alien in critical condition, the one with gray skin, is conscious and asking for you. Says it's urgent." In the medical bay, the gray-skinned alien was propped up on a bed, various medical devices attached to its body. Its large eyes fixed on Zhu as she entered. "Human commander," it said through a translator. "I am Vex, senior diplomat of the Concord Council." "Rest, diplomat," Zhu said. "You're badly injured." "No time," Vex insisted. "The Vorax attack was not random. They are coming to this sector in force." Silo, who had followed Zhu, made a sound of alarm. "The main fleet?" Silo asked. Vex nodded weakly. "They hunt for something in this system, something they fear. I believe they hunt for humans." Zhu looked between the two aliens. "Why would they fear us? We've never even left our solar system." "Because," Vex replied, "they see what the Concord has long feared, your potential. And now that they know we have made contact with you, they will come. They will come to destroy Earth before humanity can reach the stars." 2 weeks after the rescue of the alien diplomats, the UES Pathfinder orbited Earth. The ship had returned home at maximum speed, carrying news that humanity was not alone in the universe, and that a dangerous enemy was now aware of Earth's existence. The world's leaders had reacted with a mixture of shock, fear, and determination. After the initial panic subsided, the United Earth government established a secure facility in the mountains of what was once called Switzerland. Here, the surviving Concord representatives could recover, while Earth prepared for what might come next. Commander Han Jiwu stood at the window of the conference room, looking at the snow-covered peaks outside. Behind her, raised voices filled the room as the Concord delegation argued among themselves. "This is unprecedented," stated Silo, the golden-skinned diplomat. "We cannot simply bring an unproven species into Concord affairs." Another alien, with blue scales and 4 arms, waved its limbs in frustration. "They saved our lives. They deserve our help against the Vorax. The debate had been going on for hours. Some aliens believed humanity should be officially recognized and protected by the Concord. Others insisted that humans were too dangerous to be trusted with advanced technology. "Have you studied their history?" asked a small, purple-skinned being. "They evolved as predators. Their entire civilization is built on conquest and bloodshed." Jiwoo turned from the window. She had been silent, letting the aliens argue. But now she stepped forward. "Yes, we have a violent past," she said quietly. The room fell silent. "We don't deny it. Humans have fought wars over land, resources, beliefs, and sometimes for no good reason at all." She moved to the center of the room, looking at each alien in turn. "But that's only part of our story. We've also created art, music, and literature. We've built cities and healed the sick. We've explored our world and our solar system out of pure curiosity." Jiwoo took a deep breath before continuing. "Most importantly, we've fought against our worst instincts. We've created laws and systems to promote peace. We've united our planet after centuries of division. We seek cooperation, not conquest." The room was quiet for a moment. Then Vex, the gray-skinned senior diplomat who had been seriously injured in the attack, spoke up from the medical bed where he rested. "Commander Jiwoo speaks truth. Humans have capacity for great violence, yes, but also great compassion. They saved us when they could have left us to die." On the other side of the facility, Director Lee Hunke led a team of Earth's top scientists examining the technology salvaged from the damaged Concorde ship. A brilliant engineer with unruly hair and perpetually tired eyes. Hunke had been working almost without sleep since the artifacts arrived. "This is remarkable," he told General Park and the other military observers watching his team work. "The principles behind their faster-than-light travel aren't completely foreign to our theoretical physics. It's as if they took a different path to the same destination." Hunke pointed to a partially disassembled device on the workbench. "This communication system uses quantum entanglement in a way we've theorized but never achieved. Yet we're already figuring out how it works." General Park frowned. "How is that possible? Their technology should be centuries beyond ours." "It is," Hunke replied, excitement in his voice. "But humans are exceptionally good at reverse engineering. We see something work, then we figure out how and why." He adjusted his glasses. "We're making breakthroughs daily that should take years." One of the younger scientists called Hunke over to a computer screen. "Director, look at these results. If we combine their power generation methods with our experimental fusion designs, we could increase efficiency by 300%. Hunke finished, eyes widening. "Prepare a full report for the Defense Committee." Back in the conference room, the debate had finally ended. The Concord representatives had reached a consensus. Humanity would be granted limited participation in Concord affairs, primarily for their own protection against the Vorax threat. Jiwoo stood before a large screen showing the transmission from the full Concord Council, a gathering of dozens of alien species from across the galaxy. The Council had convened an emergency session to discuss Earth's situation. "We acknowledge the human species and extend provisional protection," announced the Council leader, a being that resembled a tall, thin humanoid with golden skin different from Silo's. "A defense fleet will be dispatched to your solar system. In the meantime, we authorize our representatives to share defensive technology only." Jiwoo bowed slightly. "The people of Earth thank you. We look forward to peace if—" Her words were cut short by blaring alarms. One of the walls of the conference room transformed into a tactical display. Red warning symbols appeared throughout the solar system. "What's happening?" Jiwoo demanded, turning to her communications officer who had just rushed into the room. "Long-range sensors have detected multiple objects entering the solar system," he reported, face pale. "Speed and configuration match what the Concord database identifies as Vorax vessels." Xylo moved quickly to examine the display, golden skin paling to a dull yellow. "This can't be right. According to our intelligence, the Vorax main fleet shouldn't reach this sector for months. Could it be another scouting force? Asked General Park. Silo shook his head. No, this is too large. These readings suggest at least 50 capital ships. The room fell silent as the implications became clear. Earth had barely begun to prepare its defenses. The Concord reinforcements were weeks away at best. They must have detected our communication with your system, Tylo said grimly. The Vorax have technology that can trace quantum signals. Our distress beacon and subsequent communications have led them straight to Earth. Ju studied the tactical display, calculating distances and times. How long do we have? At their current speed, Tylo replied, 7 Earth days before they reach your outer defenses. And the Concord fleet. Silo's expression said everything before the words came. The nearest battle group is 20 days away, even at maximum speed. The main Concord fleet cannot arrive in time. The room erupted in voices, fear, anger, desperate suggestions. Juhu raised her hand, and gradually silence returned. Then we stand alone, she said simply. Not alone, Vex said from his medical bed. We are few, but we will stand with you. Director Hunky stepped forward, determination on his tired face. We've already adapted some of the Concord defensive technology to our systems. With their knowledge and our innovation, perhaps we can surprise the Vorax. Jiwoo nodded, her mind already formulating plans. General Park, we need to mobilize every ship in Earth's fleet. Director Hunky, I want every piece of useful technology distributed to our forces immediately. She turned to face the aliens. And I need everything you can tell us about Vorax tactics, weaknesses, anything that might help. As the room emptied, people rushing to carry out orders, Ju stood alone looking at the tactical display. The red dots representing the Vorax fleet moved steadily toward Earth, like predators stalking their prey. She had 7 days to prepare humanity for its first interstellar war. The 7 days passed too quickly. Earth's combined defense forces worked around the clock, preparing for an enemy they had never seen. Every ship capable of combat was mobilized, from military vessels to retrofitted mining craft. Orbital defense platforms were hastily upgraded with adapted Concord technology. Commander Han Juwu stood on the bridge of the UES Defender, Earth's newest and most powerful warship. Originally designed as a long-range exploration vessel, it had been rapidly converted for war. Engineers had worked day and night installing weapons and defensive systems based on Concord designs. Status report, Ju said, looking at the tactical display showing Earth's defensive formation. All ships in position, replied Lieutenant Kim Do-yun. Mars Defense Fleet reports ready. Jupiter and Saturn outposts have been evacuated. Admiral Kang Tae-woo, commander of Earth's Pacific Fleet, appeared on the main screen. His weathered face showed fatigue but determination. My ships are in position, Commander, he reported. The modifications to our weapons systems are complete. Ju nodded. Remember, Admiral, we need to be unpredictable. The Vorax have fought the Concord for decades. They know standard tactics. They don't expect us to have any Concord tech, Tae-woo replied with a thin smile. And they certainly don't expect how we've modified it. My engineers combined their gravitational technology with our nuclear warheads. The result is interesting. Xylo, who had insisted on remaining aboard the Defender as an advisor, looked concerned. Your modifications are untested. They could be dangerous to your own ships. That's why we're spacing the fleet widely, Ju explained. If one weapon malfunctions, it won't take out multiple ships. Throughout the solar system, humanity waited. Civilians had been moved to underground shelters. Every available resource had been directed to the war effort. Old national rivalries were set aside in the face of extinction. The Vorax arrived precisely when predicted. 57 ships emerged from faster-than-light travel near Neptune's orbit. They were massive dark vessels that resembled predatory sea creatures from Earth's oceans. They're scanning us, reported Science Officer Park Minji. Their ships are powering weapons systems. Juwoo straightened her uniform. All ships, maintain position. Let them come to us. The Vorax advanced slowly, methodically. Their formation was perfect. Too perfect, Juwoo thought. They moved like machines following a program. The first attack came without warning. Energy beams lanced out from the lead Vorax ships, targeting Earth's outer defenses. 2 small patrol craft exploded instantly. "Return fire," ordered Admiral Taewoo over the fleet channel. His ships launched the modified weapons. The results exceeded expectations. When the warheads detonated, they created localized gravitational distortions that pulled 3 Vorax ships off course, crashing them into each other. "Direct hit," shouted Do-yeon. The bridge crew cheered. The victory was short-lived. The Vorax adjusted quickly, spreading their formation to avoid clustered attacks. Their next volley destroyed 7 human ships. For hours, the battle raged across the outer solar system. Earth's forces fought with desperate courage, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. Slowly, they were pushed back toward the inner planets. Aboard the Defender, Juwoo received reports of mounting losses. A third of Earth's fleet was destroyed. Another quarter had suffered serious damage. "We need to try something else," Juwoo said, studying the tactical display. She noticed a pattern in the Vorax movements. They're predictable. They follow the same attack sequences. Concord records indicate the Vorax rely heavily on pre-planned battle algorithms. Kylo confirmed. They've used the same tactics for centuries because they've always worked. Juwoo's eyes lit up. Then we do what humans have always done best. We adapt. She opened a channel to the remaining fleet. "All ships, this is Commander Juwoo. Implement Chaos Protocol." Chaos Protocol was a desperate plan developed in the final days before the battle. It called for completely unpredictable movements and attacks, abandoning conventional military formations. "Are you certain?" asked Admiral Taewoo. "We've never practiced these maneuvers." "That's exactly the point," Juwoo replied. "Neither have they." What followed was unlike any space battle in human history. Earth's ships began moving in seemingly random patterns, making sharp turns and sudden accelerations that strained their structural integrity. They attacked from unexpected angles, sometimes even flying dangerously close to the Vorax vessels. On the bridge of the Defender, alarms blared as the ship executed a tight turn that the inertial dampeners could barely handle. "Fire the gravitational inverters," Juwoo ordered as her flagship maneuvered through the chaos of battle. The Defender's main weapons fired, creating a gravitational well that pulled 3 Vorax ships toward it. Then, at the last second, the Defender accelerated away, causing the enemy vessels to collide. Throughout the fleet, human ships performed similar maneuvers, dangerous tactics that Concord engineers had deemed theoretical but too dangerous to attempt. Pilots pushed their ships beyond designed limits, relying on human reflexes and intuition. "This is madness," Zylo whispered, watching the battle unfold. "Your ships shouldn't be able to survive these maneuvers." The Vorax seemed confused by the human tactics. Their perfect formations began to break down as they tried to counter the unpredictable movements. A message suddenly broadcast across all frequencies. The translation came through in a harsh, grating voice. "What manner of species are you?" Juwoo allowed herself a small smile. "We're getting to them." Despite the innovative tactics, Earth's forces were still taking heavy losses. The Defender shook as enemy fire struck its shields. "Shields at 30%, reported Do-yeon. "We can't take much more of this." Meanwhile, a small, fast attack craft slipped between the massive Vorax ships. The UES Swift, commanded by Captain Choi Jin-soo, carried a special operations team with a daring mission. "Target acquired," Jin-soo said to his team. "Prepare for boarding action." What Jin-soo proposed was something no Concord species had ever attempted, capturing a Vorax vessel. His team had studied the limited data available and identified what appeared to be an access point. The Swift maneuvered alongside a damaged Vorax ship, attaching to its hull. Cutting tools burned through the alien metal. "Breach complete," reported Jinsu's second-in-command. "Entering now." The boarding team, dressed in heavily armored spacesuits, fought their way through the alien vessel. The Vorax crew, tall, insectoid beings with multiple limbs, were unprepared for close-quarters combat. Humans, with their background as planetary predators, excelled at it. Within 30 minutes, Jinsu's team had secured the Vorax ship's command center. "Defender, this is Captain Choi," he transmitted. "Target secured. I repeat, we have captured a Vorax vessel." The news spread quickly through Earth's forces, boosting morale. More importantly, the captured ship provided invaluable tactical data. Earth scientists immediately began analyzing Vorax communication systems and battle plans. The tide of battle slowly turned. Human ships coordinated their attacks based on the new information, targeting specific weaknesses in Vorax defenses. After 18 hours of continuous fighting, the remaining Vorax vessels suddenly retreated, jumping to faster-than-light speed. 3 days later, the first Concord reinforcements arrived, expecting to find Earth defeated or destroyed. Instead, they discovered humans not only surviving, but actively rebuilding their defenses and studying captured Vorax technology. Concord scientists, working alongside human researchers, made a startling discovery. Brain scans of human military personnel showed neural patterns unlike any other known species. Humans processed information and adapted to new situations at rates that astonished the aliens. "This explains much," Vex told Jiwoo during a debriefing. "Your species' neural architecture allows for improvisation and creative problem-solving beyond what we thought possible." The Vorax, with their reliance on established patterns, had no defense against it. Jiwoo looked at the data. "This is just who we are. Humans have always had to adapt to survive." "It is much more than that," Vex replied. "What your people accomplished in 7 days would have taken other species years. You may have just changed the course of a war we've been fighting for centuries." 2 weeks after the battle, Commander Han Jiwoo stood in the Grand Council chamber of the Concord flagship Eternal Light. The massive vessel had arrived with the main Concord fleet and now orbited Earth. The chamber was filled with representatives from dozens of alien species, all gathered to decide the fate of humanity and their response to the Vorax threat. Jiwoo felt small among these beings. Some were tall and elegant, others short and stocky. Some had multiple limbs or eyes, while others looked almost human. All watched her with a mixture of curiosity, respect, and fear. The Concord High Minister, a being named Zorl with silver skin and eyes that glowed with inner light, addressed the human delegation. "Commander Jiwoo, on behalf of the Concord, I extend our gratitude for your people's bravery in battle. No other species has ever repelled a Vorax attack of that size without Concord support." Jiwoo nodded in acknowledgement. Beside her stood Admiral Kang, Director Lee Hunke, and Captain Choi, all still bearing wounds from the recent battle. "However," continued Zorl, "there is much we must discuss about humanity's place in galactic affairs." The High Minister activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. It showed ancient star charts and recordings in languages Jiwoo couldn't understand. "Your species was not quarantined out of prejudice," the High Minister explained. "Ancient records indicate that previous human civilizations evolved into something that terrified even the oldest species." Murmurs spread through the council chamber. Jiwoo exchanged surprised glances with her colleagues. "What do you mean, previous human civilizations?" asked Director Hunke. "Our archaeological records only go back a few thousand years." A Concord scientist stepped forward. The alien resembled a tall, thin humanoid with 4 arms and blue skin that rippled with changing patterns. "According to our records, your planet has produced advanced civilizations at least 3 times before," the scientist explained. "Each time, they reached space, developed rapidly, and then changed." "Changed how?" demanded Admiral Kang. The scientist hesitated, looking to the High Minister for permission to continue. Zorl nodded. "They evolved, both biologically and technologically, at rates that defied our understanding. They merged with their machines, altered their own genetic code, and expanded across multiple star systems in mere decades. Images appeared in the hologram showing strange ships and structures unlike anything in human or current Concorde design. And then, Ju asked quietly. "They disappeared," said the High Minister. "Sometimes after conflicts with other species, sometimes on their own. Each time, Earth returned to a pre-technological state, as if something reset your planet's development." The chamber fell silent as the humans tried to process this information. Ju thought of ancient myths about lost civilizations. Atlantis, Lemuria, stories dismissed as fantasy by modern science. "Our scientists have been studying your people since the battle," continued the High Minister. "The results confirm our ancient records." Another hologram appeared, showing brain scans of humans compared to other species. Concorde scientists have confirmed that human brains process information differently, allowing unprecedented creative problem-solving and adaptive learning, explained the blue-skinned scientist. "You make intuitive leaps that other species require generations to achieve." Director Hunke studied the scans with professional interest. "This neural architecture, it's not just about raw intelligence. It's about connections, patterns, the ability to see relationships between seemingly unrelated concepts." "Precisely," agreed the scientist. "This blessing is also what makes humans dangerous. You cannot be predicted or controlled like other species. You change too quickly, adapt too readily." Ju thought about Earth's history, how humans had gone from first flight to landing on the moon in a single lifetime, how they had developed computers from room-sized calculators to pocket devices in mere decades. "That's why the Vorax targeted Earth specifically," realized Captain Choi. "They saw us as a threat." "Yes," confirmed the High Minister. "And there is more." The hologram changed to show data recovered from the captured Vorax vessel. The images were disturbing: massive fleets, planet-killing weapons, maps showing invasion routes through Concorde space. "The captured Vorax data revealed devastating news," said Zoril gravely. "What you faced was merely an advanced scout force. The main Vorax armada will arrive within weeks, with enough firepower to overwhelm the combined Concorde defenses." The council chamber erupted in voices, some shouting in alarm, others arguing about courses of action. Ju watched as fear spread through the assembled representatives. When the noise subsided, the debate began. For hours, Concorde leaders argued about how to respond to the Vorax threat. Some proposed massive defensive lines. Others suggested diplomatic outreach, though previous attempts had always failed. Several representatives proposed abandoning the Sol system entirely. "We must be realistic," argued a reptilian delegate. "The human system is at the edge of Concorde space. Strategic withdrawal would allow us to consolidate our forces and protect our core worlds." "Sacrifice one system to save many," agreed another. "It is regrettable but logical." Ju listened silently, her exhaustion from weeks of battle and planning giving way to a cold anger. These beings had known about Earth for centuries, had watched and studied humans while keeping them ignorant of the wider galaxy, and now some were ready to abandon them to the Vorax. When the debate seemed to be turning toward abandonment, Ju rose from her seat. The chamber fell silent as she walked to the center of the holographic display. "I have listened to your plans and strategies," she began, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. "Many are thoughtful. Some are cowardly. All share one common feature: they will fail." Outraged murmurs spread through the chamber, but Ju continued. "You have fought the Vorax for decades using the same tactics, the same technologies, the same thinking, and you have been losing, inch by inch, world by world." She gestured to the brain scans still visible in one corner of the display. "You feared what humanity might become. Now it's time to find out, not as your enemy, but as your salvation." The High Minister leaned forward. "What are you proposing, Commander?" Ju took a deep breath. What she would suggest was radical, perhaps impossible, but they had no choice. Fully integrate humans into every level of Concord operations, she said clearly. Not as junior members, not as observers, but as full partners. Put humans on your ships, in your laboratories, in your tactical planning rooms. Let our minds work alongside yours. Impossible, exclaimed several delegates at once. The risk is too great. The risk of continuing as you have is greater, countered Admiral Kang, standing to support Juwu. We humans have a concept, Juwu explained, looking around the chamber. We call it thinking outside the box. It means finding solutions beyond conventional wisdom, beyond established patterns. She pointed to the Vorax fleet projections. It seems you've been fighting inside a box for millennia. The Vorax know every move you'll make before you make it. But they don't know us. They can't predict what we'll do because we often don't know ourselves until we do it. Director Hyunki stepped forward. In just 2 weeks, my team has already developed 12 potential modifications to Concord weapons systems that your engineers never considered. Not because they aren't brilliant, but because they think differently than we do. The council chamber grew quiet as the delegates considered the proposal. We could establish safeguards, suggested the High Minister thoughtfully. Monitoring, limits on technology sharing. No, said Juwu firmly. Half measures will fail. Trust us completely, or not at all. The High Minister stared at Juwu for a long moment, ancient eyes studying her face. Then, to everyone's surprise, Zor-El began to laugh, a musical sound unlike any human laughter. You see, the High Minister said to the council, already they challenge our most basic assumptions. Perhaps this is exactly what we need. The vote was not unanimous, but it was decisive. Humanity would be fully integrated into the Concord War effort, with all the risks and potential that entailed. As the council adjourned, the High Minister approached Juwu privately. You must understand, Commander, Zor-El said quietly, that some among us still fear what humanity might become. The patterns in your history suggest a cycle that could repeat. Juwu nodded. We fear that too, Minister. The difference is, we're used to living with fear. It's what keeps us human. The Vorax main armada arrived exactly when predicted. 3,000 ships emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system, a force 5 times larger than any the Concord had ever faced in a single battle. The massive alien vessels moved with perfect coordination, their black hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. In the command center of the Concord flagship Eternal Light, Commander Han Juwu watched the enemy approach. Around her stood the combined leadership of Earth and the Concord. Admirals, scientists, and strategists from 20 different species working together. All ships report ready, said Admiral Kang. His uniform was now decorated with both Earth and Concord insignia. Defensive grid is online, added Tylo, who had become one of Juwu's most trusted advisors. The last 3 weeks had transformed the Concord fleet. Human officers had been integrated at every level of command. Earth scientists had worked alongside alien engineers to modify weapons and defensive systems. Training programs had taught Concord forces to fight with the unpredictability that humans brought naturally to battle. The Vorax are broadcasting, announced a communications officer. They're demanding our immediate surrender. No response necessary, Juwu replied calmly. They already know our answer. The Vorax attack began with a massive energy barrage, thousands of weapons firing simultaneously at the Concord defensive line. In previous encounters, such an attack would have devastated the defenders. This time, something different happened. The Concord ships, following a strategy developed by Earth tacticians, had positioned themselves in an apparently random formation. As the energy barrage approached, the ships activated modified shield systems that redirected the energy rather than simply absorbing it. Countermeasures successful, reported Silo with surprise in his voice. Damage minimal. The Concord fleet immediately launched their response. Not a single coordinated attack as tradition would dictate, but hundreds of smaller strikes from unexpected angles. Ships moved in patterns that seemed chaotic, but were actually part of a complex strategy developed by human and Concord minds working together. The Vorax, for the first time in their long history of conquest, appeared confused. Their perfect formation faltered as they tried to respond to attacks coming from all directions. "They're adapting to our adaptations," transmitted a Vorax commander. The message, intercepted by Concord intelligence, was shared throughout the command center. The alien's voice carried something rarely heard from the Vorax: uncertainty. "Good," said Juwu. "Now implement Phase 2. Phase 2 was even more radical. Concord ships suddenly changed their attack patterns completely, abandoning the tactics that had been working and shifting to entirely new approaches. It was a strategy based on human sports theory, changing the game just when the opponent thinks they understand the rules. The battle spread throughout the solar system as smaller engagements broke out around key positions. Near Mars, a group of Earth ships led by Captain Choi executed a daring maneuver, deliberately allowing themselves to be surrounded by Vorax vessels before triggering specially designed weapons that created a temporary wormhole, causing the enemy ships to collide with each other. Earth itself came under direct attack when a Vorax battle group broke through the outer defenses. They encountered the planet's newly established shield grid, a technology that combined Concord energy principles with human theoretical physics in ways the Concord engineers had never considered. The tide truly turned when Captain Choi led a desperate mission deep into Vorax territory. His ship, disguised using captured Vorax technology, infiltrated the enemy command vessel. Rather than attempting to destroy it, Choi's team implemented a plan developed by Earth psychologists and Concord cultural experts. They broadcast a special signal throughout the Vorax communication network, a signal designed to exploit a fundamental aspect of Vorax psychology. The predatory species had evolved with strict hierarchical instincts. The signal mimicked commands from non-existent higher authorities, creating confusion in their rigid command structure. "Who commands?" demanded Vorax captains of each other. "Who leads this hunt?" As the confusion spread through their fleet, the Concord launched their final offensive. Ships that had been held in reserve struck at key Vorax positions. Weapons specifically designed to target Vorax weaknesses fired in coordinated sequence. After 36 hours of continuous battle, the unthinkable happened. The Vorax began to retreat. Not just a tactical withdrawal, but a full retreat, something never before recorded in their history of conquest. "They're jumping to faster than light," reported Admiral Kang, disbelief in his voice. "All of them. They're actually running." The command center erupted in cheers and celebrations. Species that had been fighting the Vorax for generations watched in amazement as the enemy that had never known defeat fled before the combined human Concord forces. In the weeks that followed, the full impact of the victory became clear. The Vorax had not just been defeated, they had been broken as a military power. Their rigid hierarchical society couldn't cope with the humiliation of retreat. Reports from Concord intelligence indicated civil war had broken out among their worlds. 1 month after the battle, the Concord High Council convened an emergency session. The vote was unanimous. Humanity would be granted full membership in the Concord, with all rights and responsibilities. Earth would no longer be seen as a potential threat to be contained, but as an essential ally. "We feared what humanity might become," the High Minister acknowledged in a ceremony broadcast across Concord space. "Now we understand. You are the catalyst we have needed. Not a threat to be contained, but the spark that may save us all." 5 years passed. The galaxy changed more in those years than in the previous century. Human-Concord cooperation accelerated technological development across dozens of fields. Earth ships now traveled freely through Concord space, and alien visitors had become common on Earth. The Vorax threat had been reduced to isolated pirate bands, hunted by joint human-Concord patrols. Commander Juwu, now Ambassador Juwu, stood on the observation deck of the new Earth Concord flagship Harmony. The massive vessel represented the pinnacle of combined technology, incorporating principles that human engineers had conceived only months after first encountering Concord science. Through the viewport, She watched as ships arrived from hundreds of worlds. They came for the signing of the new Galactic Charter, a document that would restructure the Concord into a more equal and dynamic alliance, with humanity as a founding member. "Quite a view, isn't it?" said Silo, joining her at the viewport. The golden-skinned diplomat had become one of her closest friends. "I never imagined this 5 years ago," Ju replied. "When we found your damaged ship, we thought we were alone in the universe. Now look at us." Below them, Earth shone blue and beautiful. Around it orbited ships of every size and design, from worlds whose names humans were still learning to pronounce. "The High Minister asked me to give you this," said Silo, handing her a small device. "It's from the ancient archives. They found records of the previous human civilizations, images, texts, perhaps answers to questions about your past." Ju took the device carefully. "Thank you. This means a lot." They stood in silence for a moment, watching the stars. "We were never meant to stand alone," Ju said finally. "Our greatest strength isn't that we can fight. It's that we can change, adapt, see possibilities where others see only problems." Behind her, the ship's quantum engines hummed with energy. The sound was different from 5 years ago, more efficient, more powerful, redesigned by human and Concord engineers working together. "The signing ceremony begins in an hour," Silo reminded her. "As Earth's representative, you'll be expected to speak." Ju nodded, her mind already composing the words. She would tell them about humanity's journey from a quarantined world to a galactic partner, about the power of diversity and the strength that comes from embracing change rather than fearing it. As Silo left, Ju remained at the viewport a moment longer. Beyond the gathering ships and the blue curve of Earth lay the vast galaxy, filled with wonders and challenges humanity was only beginning to discover. And for the first time in her life, Commander Han Ju was certain that whatever waited among those distant stars, humanity would face it not alone, but as part of something greater, a union of different minds and bodies united by the simple desire to explore, to learn, and to grow together. This was the true power humanity had unleashed. Not conquest, not domination, but the ability to bring beings together and show them new possibilities. It was a power that had shaken the stars themselves. The end.